Kevin Cleary here with a knife video for you. Today we've got something really special here. This is the WE Knives 037, model number 910. I don't know why they chose a number as the name of the knife, but either way, between those two, WE 037 or WE 910, that should come up with this knife for you if you're trying to find one for yourself. And I've got to say, it's probably something you should do. This is a fantastic knife. I'm really excited to have WE give us this. The designer, Kellen Bogardus, and I'm probably butchering that, deserves a lot of credit. He's come up with something that is really impressive here. And if you want to buy one for yourself, go over to White Mountain Knives and Justin will hook you up. And if you use my discount code SHARPSTUFF, you'll save yourself 10%. So that does help the channel and it helps you also. So kind of a win-win there. Now, let's get back to this particular knife. This is a knife that I have to say belongs on the list of, the very short list of some of the best, most practical WE knife models. The 615 probably goes on that list. The Streak, I can't remember the model number on that, but the WE Knives Streak was fantastic. It's just a perfect knife, and this goes on that list as well, and likely this will also be on my list of the best knives of 2019. It is truly a win, and if you're someone who likes to use your stuff, this is a knife for you for sure. Lots of impressive stuff going on here. But let's start off with size and weight, because size and weight is one of the things that really impresses me about this knife. This is a big knife, guys. It really is. 9 inches long, 4 1/16 on the blade, so a little over 4 inches on blade length there. 3 7/8 inch grip area, so tons of grip area on a 4 15/16 handle, so just a hair under, well, an eighth under 5 inches. Now, here's the crazy thing. So this is a big knife, right? You've got tons of real estate for your hand. You've got this big 4-inch blade with, 3 5/8 inch of cutting edge, so great big blade, very large knife, comfortable, hand filling, and yet this only weighs 4 ounces. Okay, 4 ounces for a knife of this size is absolutely incredible. And that's one of the things that stands out to me. This knife, you've got this huge, capable knife that can do just about anything you could think of wanting to do with a cutting tool, and yet it only weighs 4 ounces. And because of the 3D contouring, it tends to carry really comfortably as well. So you don't even really know you've got it, but man, when you need a knife, you have got one big capable knife. So size and weight is a huge win, and that is not the only win. The blade on this is M390 steel with a pretty nice finish. I would have liked to see more of a traditional satin finish on here, but this finish is totally fine. It's a fairly slim stock. It's not, it's not incredibly thin, but it's thin enough that with the thin grind, and this is pretty thin behind the edge, so you combine this stock that's not overly thick with a thin grind and a fairly high flat grind, and you get a knife that slices really well. The flat grind does give you a little extra toughness. In a knife that's slim like this, I don't mind seeing a flat grind. If this was like bigger and bulkier, then a hollow grind might be more preferable. But in this particular application, a flat grind is great. Sort of a double clip point here. We've got a clip and a clip. Nice little swale here for your thumb, which I really like, in addition to the thumb ramp back here with some jimping on it. Really nice performing blade. M390 steel, by the way. So yeah, this blade is just what you would want in a knife. It just slices like crazy. And so, if you're the kind of person who likes using your knife to cut stuff, that's, which I assume most of you are, this is a blade that really works. It just does. And so for that reason, like pretty much everything else on this knife, this is going to be a pretty glowing endorsement, by the way. I really enjoy this knife a lot. The blade is fantastic. It cuts well, it holds an edge well, it looks good. It does all the things that we really want a nice folding knife blade to do. So huge win on the blade. Next up is the action. And again, we're going to be continuing with our theme. So WE knife action, pretty nice, like we're used to seeing. The only thing I will say about this is everything is comfortable, everything works the way you want it to. The flipper tab is comfortable, there's nothing to complain about. The only little issue I have with this is the lock bar tension is pretty high, and that does mean, so let me kind of show you. So notice how the knife will stay open. If I shake it a little bit, it'll close, but that is not because the action is tight, it's because the lock bar is pushing on the blade pretty hard. So that's one thing to kind of keep in mind. Now, I like a nice stiff lock bar. It definitely inspires confidence in me. That lock is really, really stiffly engaged, and that's what I like to see. There's no stick or anything like that, so it kind of creates a really, the best of all worlds, right? It's secure, it's confidence inspiring, but there's no lock stick. It's easy to access. So, you know, big win on the action here from We Knives. And I mean, let's be honest, we're pretty typical. If even when We Knives gets everything else wrong, like if it's the ugliest knife with the worst grind and the most uncomfortable handle, and you could just go on and on with everything that's wrong with it, it's still going to have a great action usually if it's built by We Knives. And so yeah, this does have a great action as we have essentially come to expect at this point. So overall, very, very nice. It's smooth, it's fast, the detent is stiff, all the things I like to see in an action this knife delivers. So not a lot to say there. It's all pretty typical stuff that we're used to seeing from We. Where I do have a little more to say is on the handle and the handle construction. So notice we've got no screws other than the pivot screw in the frame, and that's because the screws are back here. So these pieces kind of slot together, and then these screws go back and hold the two pieces. It's sort of like this kind of thing, and then the screw goes through. So really, really cool design. I love that. And I'm surprised it hasn't been, kind of thought of before. We've got just a small little, sort of diminutive, wow, come on, focus you. There we go. Small little lanyard post there. So if you want to put a lanyard on this knife, you can. Now, I would say it's not necessary. Oftentimes people put a lanyard on so that there's sort of something on a really small knife. There's kind of something to sit back here in your hand. This is not a small knife by any stretch of the imagination. So I don't see a need for a lanyard. But I mean, I'm not a lanyard guy. I know some of you really like them. And maybe a titanium skull clip or something on here would be great for someone who's really into that. For me, I like my knives sans lanyard. And so, I like an attachment point that is non-obtrusive. And when I take it off, the knife still looks normal and like it's meant to be that way. Now, the next thing on construction, a couple things actually. First, I love this finish that We Knife does. This is available in blue, standard tie, and bronze. And I don't know if there's a green or not. Someone can mention that down in the comments. But I really, really like sort of this stonewash bronze that they do. Just really, really attractive. Some similar, there's a lighter finish, I'm sorry, on the Keen that again looks just fantastic. We does a really, really nice job of this sort of stonewashed ano. Really, really nice. And I'm a sucker for bronze, so really like this. Now, while we're talking about handle construction, two more things we need to hit on. One, they've done this recessed pocket clip, which means the clip itself is very low profile and really not even noticeable in hand. Okay, you really can't even tell that there's a pocket clip on this knife. But because of the fairly generous recess, it actually goes in and out of pocket quite fine. At least for me, I've not had any problems at all carrying this, using it, getting it in and out of any pockets of any pants that I've been wearing. Hold on, the light's changing up on me here, guys. I've just got to see if I can adjust that a little for us. There we go. Yeah, I really like the way that they've done this pocket clip. I guess the one downside is going to be if you're a lefty, that's not going to work for you. They have put a little bit of texture on here, and the idea there is that, when you're going to take your knife out of your pocket, you've got some grip there, and I do like that. Finally, check out, okay, it's going to be hard to spot here. I got a flashlight? Yeah. So I want to get my flashlight out here and show you guys the internal milling on this knife. There is a ton of internal milling here. It's just really, really been lightened up. And that's why they're able to get a knife of this size to weigh only 4 ounces. They've really, really lightened up that handle. And that, again, is really, really impressive. So, if you're like me and you like larger knives, but I'm sure many of you have had this problem, sometimes they're so big and so heavy that you can't carry it in certain outfits, right? It's just, you're putting on a pair of dress pants or something and you can't put a heavy knife in there because it just flops around it's just uncomfortable. This It doesn't matter what you're wearing, whether it's, a summer day and you're going to the golf course with some of those light, super light golfing shorts on or something like that, or whether you're throwing on a pair of track pants, you can still carry this knife and it works just fine. And so the amount of effort they've put into getting this knife really, really nice and light is hugely, hugely appreciated. So lots of stuff to make note of here on the handle. And I just think they have done everything right. And we haven't even touched on what's probably the best part, right? Even if this knife was 5 ounces and the clip wasn't inserted, it wasn't recessed and all of that, if you just took this handle shape, it is so, so comfortable. We've got nice 3D contouring here. All the edges are rounded. And so in hand, this feels fantastic. It's so, so comfortable. The other thing is on a large knife, some people don't like the finger being this far from the blade. So on certain cutting tasks, this is fine, but having that option to choke up and actually having thought about it enough to put a nice little swale for your thumb here, the ergonomics on this knife are perfect. They really are. About the only other knife that I've had this year that has been as perfect as this is the 8010. I don't have the 8010 because they're not comparable in any other way, really. But the comfort in hand is definitely right up there. So that is a huge win. So like I said, guys, no big surprise here. I told you guys I like this knife. As I've worked through all the different things that are going on, really the only potential complaint, and it's hardly a complaint, is that, it's not quite as drop shutty as, maybe a Grimsmo Norseman or something, because there's quite a bit of lock bar tension there. But that's the only negative, and it's not even really a negative. It's just such a fantastic knife. I really, really like this. So let's get to some comparisons. I definitely, if you accuse me of having a type, okay, I would probably have to agree. There's a couple of knives that I've picked up recently that have sort of this theme where we've got fairly large handle, fairly large blade, a nice, finger choil to choke up. Recently, we've had the Spider Chef. We've got the recent addition of the Hinderer to the collection, Curtis F3. I really, really like knives of this style. And so these are two that I wanted to compare because they do have a lot of similarity. If you like a big knife that's lightweight, that carries easily, but when you get it out to do some cutting task with it, you've got tons of utility. You've got a great tool. Both of these are great options. The Amalgam obviously is going to cost a little bit less. The other cool thing about these is both of these are kind of from, not well-known knife designers. These are guys that, somehow their respective manufacturers noticed. I believe with the Amalgam, the designer sent a design to Spyderco and they decided to make it. So pretty cool. Okay, so very comparable knives, a lot of differences as well, but in terms of ergonomics, in terms of size, in terms of having, that option to choke up, both of these are pretty similar. What else have we got here? Another knife that, I always bring out with sort of large tactical-ish blades. The Recon One, again, now it's going to weigh more, but if you like a large knife that's still very comfortable, very capable, that's really designed to be a great cutting tool, boom, here you go. Obviously, the price point on this is going to be quite a bit less. The only complaint I have about this guy is I wish it was still a hollow grind because it's, I don't know, I feel like it functions great with a hollow grind. What else? Oh, you know what? I feel like there's, every comparison segment of a video I do, I've got to bring in a Para 2 just because everyone knows about it. So there it is beside a Para 2. You can see this is a very large knife. I think you already knew that. Since it's a titanium frame lock, let's bring in sort of the standard titanium frame lock. Chris Reeve Knives large Inkosi with micarta inlay, and this is the version of the Inkosi that I like the best. Again, great knife. Is it as comfortable as this? No, this is definitely more comfortable. So just if you're familiar with this knife, and it is a comfortable knife, no question. I'm not complaining about the ergonomics on the Inkosi at all, and I do believe the inlay makes it even better, but this is still much more comfortable. What else have we got? Here's another fairly large knife. This one, of course, has the Rogue Blade Works upgrades to it. This is the Benchmade Crooked River. It made my top knives of the year, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago. Great knife. I love having this in the collection. What else have we got? Oh, one more knife here. This is another favorite of mine. This is the Riot Knives Torrent. And again, Great knife. I love the feel. I love the action. Super high quality. And these, I think, if you can find these on the secondary market for pretty reasonable prices these days. So if if you're interested in something like this, I think it's worth your time to go and check out Blade Forums or something like that. One of those, or some other secondary source, maybe a Facebook page or whatever one your favorite is. So, what do I think of this knife overall? I don't think it's any secret. Having gone through all of the things that I've just discussed with you guys, this is a huge, huge win. It is absolutely one of the best things that WE Knives has done in terms of delivering a functional knife. It is really, really perfect. I guess Tony Meteor said it wasn't the most attractive knife that he'd ever seen, and I mean, I like the look of it just fine. I think it's a pretty cool looking knife, but that's what do they say? Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. So. I can see how some people may not enjoy this. It's also really, really large. So if you're not into big knives, you probably won't like this. But if you like a large knife that's comfortable in hand, that has a great blade, that cuts like crazy, that's super lightweight to carry, that, I mean, has, options, a couple of nice grip options, that has tons of cutting edge, that's thin behind the edge, that is well built, has a great action, all the things that I look for in a folding knife, this delivers in spades. And so I can't say enough how much I enjoy this. Definitely go over to White Mountain Knives and pick yourself up one. Use my discount code SHARPSTUFF. I know that's probably the second reminder here, but I just want to make sure I get it in there because I really appreciate how Justin helps the channel. Thanks for watching. Of course, I really appreciate you guys, your views, your comments, all of that. Really, really helps out. I love engaging with you guys. One of the reasons I started this channel is because, I live in a small town. There's not a lot of knife guys around. So having the ability to connect with you guys and talk knives in this format is really, really fun for me. There you go. Thanks a lot. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to use that discount code, and we will talk to you soon.